What's good with YouTube? You already know. Big Flacco from ACP, the Converse Perspective. You already know what time it is, man. I hope you guys have a positive, productive day. Keep it pushing. So, before we get to this video, please hit the like, subscribe, comment, do all those things to help support this channel, and hit that bell notification for future fire content. So, I've been busy taking care of personal things, guys, but back in the swing of things, and we got an interesting video we're going to discuss right now. It has to do with an individual known as Johnny, aka Crow Martinez, from Orange County. To media outlets and law enforcement and prosecutors, he's an alleged member of the Mexican Mafia. He's also a man who's been down 28 years for a crime he didn't commit. Locked up at the young age of 18 years old over a brawl that they had numerous different witnesses and testimonies that later came in that the judge overturned his conviction. Video a few months ago about when he first got his case overturned and said, look, how could the man be held accountable for whatever alleged crimes that they speak of when he was in there the whole time for a crime that he didn't commit, that he was innocent for? The issue that is currently going on is, does he deserve bail? Okay, he's currently facing a case called Operation Night Owl, where there is 31 other defendants. Now in 2020, I think 2021, he had a case, a murder beef, that was pretty much thrown out. So every time they've tried to build any type of case against this man, he has been able to beat it. He's been able to build a lot of positive resources out there in the communities. One being a veteran civil rights attorney, Richard Herman, who's even risking putting up $100,000 of his own money to help post bail if it is presented to him. Now, I did time with Crow in the 2000s. There's nothing negative I can say about the man. He's always been the center of a lot of different rumors and speculation, right? But he's always been able to overcome all those obstacles that have been presented in his path. He's one of the better inmate jail attorneys when it comes to both criminal, civil, and all that. Crow knows his stuff, man, and he knew it back then as well. That was something that he was always into, was legal law. Now, everything that I've really ever heard about the man has always been hearsay. None of it's been factual proof or been anything that was used against him in any criminal cases or whatnot. He's always overcome all those obstacles. And so, my position is this. He was wrongfully committed the first time when he just turned 18 years old. He would have never been in prison to commit these alleged offenses if they wouldn't have wrongfully committed him in prison in the first place. So if anything, I think the man does deserve the right to a bail that's reasonable. He deserves the right to post bail. You know, I mean, his situation is kind of like a real sticky situation because, like I said, all these crimes allegedly happened when he was incarcerated. He should have never been incarcerated from the get-go. Now, whether he's innocent or guilty of the current charges, his track record shows that he's always beat cases that have been presented against him. Therefore, I think he deserves the right to bail like any other human being should be deserved the right to bail out, especially in this type of situation. Since being incarcerated, Martinez has become a paralegal. Martinez's mother, Dolores Canales, is a reformed 5-time felon who now sits on the 9-member Los Angeles County Probation Oversight Commission, appointed by Supervisor Janice Hand. She is also a nationally known prisoner rights activist as a co-founder of California Families Against Solitary Confinement and a former youth coordinator for the Orangewood Children's Foundation. She also said that Martinez spent virtually a lot of his time helping others with their legal problems, helping go through transcripts and drafting legal petitions and challenging illegal sentences. In addition to that, throughout his imprisonment, this is since he was at the age of 18 years old, he has kept in touch with Glenn Collard, his childhood principal at Kramer Junior High and again at El Camino Rio High School. He actually wrote a 5-page letter for high school students talking about the attitude and positive concerns that kids must have being from the neighborhood, which has continued to be a theme 20 years of communication with his high school principal. In a handwritten letter to students, Martinez advised them to be above the completely senseless gangbanging. Gangbanging either gets you dead or locked up. Put your gang violence behind you and stick with your education, he wrote. I also encourage you to learn about God. Now, I was shocked to read about all this stuff, man. And it just goes to show that, you know, Martinez is someone who, even though he's doing his time and has to live the life that he chooses to live, which I'm not saying what he's about, what he's not about, right? But he still has enough care to try to reach out to those so they don't have to make the same mistakes that he made or land where he landed. And he doesn't show no bitterness, even though he was wrongfully committed some 30 years ago. So here's what the prosecutors are basically saying. You were wrongfully committed 30 years ago, but currently you're facing current charges federally under a RICO Act that you allegedly committed while you were down doing this time that you should have never been in prison for in the first place. But yet we're not going to give you bail, even though you've never been convicted of any charges or any other past RICO cases that they tried to present against him. Now I get what the prosecutors are trying to say. Oh, Mexican Mafia shot caller running Orange County and allegedly called this shot and whatnot, right? Which in the past he's been accused of and was found not guilty. There's a good chance that he may be found not guilty on this case as well. He's that good at legal law. Now what was conveyed to me was this, that prior to the incident, the brawl where someone lost their life, right? That Martinez was one of those ones that everybody thought that he had the potential for a future, that he was really intelligent, could articulate himself well, and that this whole case changed the course of his life. So, whether I agree with some of the choices he allegedly made or not, I can't prove them. It's all hearsay. Until he's been convicted, I think he deserves the right to bail out because he's already been proven to spend 28 years of his life in prison for a crime that he did not commit. Now, my attitude towards it may be different if he was still found guilty of the previous crime. You know, I may say, okay, well, he's had a history of this and that. Keep him in there, don't give him no bail. But currently, man, just as a human being and having the information that I know that's all available to everybody else, that he was found not guilty of that crime, you got to give him bail. You have to give him bail. It's the right thing to do. Because technically, some of the cases that they have against him currently would have never happened if he wasn't in prison. And that's the fucked up thing about it, is that all these charges that he's built up currently, all stem from being in prison for a case he should have never been in prison for. Doing research, they say 1 to 6% of inmates who are doing time have wrongfully been convicted. In addition, they say the majority of the population in prison will have to at times risk committing crimes while in prison based upon fear or whatnot, or just to pretty much fit in with their peer group. Now I tried doing some research. I tried to sit there and see if there was any other similar cases where a person was conviction was overturned and that they were facing charges, right? Were they released? Were they given bail? What was the situation? I couldn't find one, especially one that had a RICO case. So it's unbeknown what the judge may do in this situation, but I will say this, he does have a lot of people in his corner in the community and whatnot. But he also has a lot of adversaries out there as well that do not want to see him come home. You got some people saying, hey, look at the crimes that he's being alleged to and the RICO case and all that, right? My responses to that would be whether they're true allegations or not, whether he's guilty of those charges or not, he would have never been in position for those charges to ever be arraigned upon if he wasn't locked up for a crime he didn't commit. So who's really to blame if he did or did not commit those crimes? That's a question I want answered. Anyways, what do you guys think? Does he deserve bail or not? With that said, Big Flacco from a convict's perspective, I'm out.